Well, hello and welcome to Outdoor Oklahoma. I'm Todd Craighead. You know, I've told you before that this time of year typically has me more interested in hunting seasons, but this is also a great time of the year to be doing some wintertime striper fishing at Lake Texoma. Today we're going to do just that as we hook up with a couple of our biologists in the area, Matt Mock and Cliff Sager, as they teach us a thing or two about catching big winter stripers at Texoma.
Wintertime striper fishing can be very good on Lake Texoma, very productive, and it really is the time of the year when you're more likely to catch some of the bigger stripers that we have here. What we've got today is a nice light northern breeze. We've got overcast skies, which is really good conditions for fishing activity throughout the day. So we're going to go out, we're going to try some a technique that's been developed here over the last several years that people have really caught on to for winter fishing, and it's called dead sticking. And so we're going to go out and see if we can catch some quality stripers. What we're doing right now is we're looking for birds. Seagulls actively feeding this time of year are a pretty good indication that there's a school of striper. They're kind of like the bird dogs, you know, for in a hunting situation. You can use those to help you locate where these schools of actively feeding fish are. So as you travel around, always have your eyes out. You know, having a pair of binoculars is always a great idea to help you locate the fish. Oftentimes we'll use the birds.
We're putting out a drift sock. It keeps you from drifting too fast. There's an ideal speed that you want to be able to drift, and if you got too much wind, it makes you drift too fast. So drift sock does a good job of slowing the boat down.
It's a good one. It's got a little weight. It's pull and drag. So with this dead sticking technique, you're just going to drop the bait down and pretty much just hold the rod. The slow drift of the boat's all the motion that you're going to need. Just be ready to set the hook when the fish hits.
I may have needed the bigger net on that one.
Yeah.
It's a good fish. Oh, great fish. Nice solid fish. Get a hook right on the top of the mouth.
Yeah, that's a great thing about this type of fishing. Fishing this artificial bait. Typically going to hook these fish right in the lip. This cool water, the fish aren't stressed. It's good conditions for catch and release fishing.
What do you think that one weighs?
Yeah, I'd say that was probably 7-8 pounds.
I agree with you.
Nice fat fish. Healthy this time of year.
I really like fishing the wintertime for a number of reasons. One is the lake is really not crowded. Your recreational boaters have left until the water warms up. A lot of your other anglers are in the deer woods or doing other things, and so you really have a lot of the lake to yourself. It's also a great time of year to catch a big fish. The fish are feeding very aggressively at this time. They're efficient with the food that they eat, and they're just putting a lot of weight on. So it's a good time to come out and catch maybe your personal best fish. This technique just works real good in cold water. The fish are feeding on slow moving baits, and you drop this right in front of them and hold it still, and they'll just come up behind it and pick it up. The bite is oftentimes real subtle, so you have to be paying attention. A lot of times I don't even like to have a rod in the holder. Well, there it goes, it worked that time.
Yeah, fish on.
Sometimes you'll miss a lot of fish because the bite is pretty it's not a real aggressive bite, and you'll miss some bites. But
You might just crank that one up. I didn't even have it down all the way. Man, these fish are strong in the wintertime. These stripers love this cold water.
Another nice fish.
Yep.
The big difference in wintertime fishing is people have to realize that their presentation and even their lure selection is going to be different from the warmer months. Striper fishing in the warmer months, everybody's used to, aggressively reeling and casting some kind of a jigging spoon or throwing a topwater, which is always very exciting to do. But these aren't techniques that work very well in the wintertime. And you need to slow down, the water's cold, and to match more of the attitude of the striper.
You're going to use a soft plastic bait, generally referred to as a fluke, on a large jig head, 1 ounce to 2 ounce jig head. You drop that down and you're fishing basically motionless. The boat will drift and that's going to put the motion into the bait. So once you find schools of fish, you can drop that down, hold on, and just wait for the bite.
If you want to be at the level the fish are that you're marking or slightly above, the stripers like to feed up, and so you want to make sure that your bait isn't down below them. Yeah, it's not a bad one. Looks like it's probably ought to reel up this other one and minimize tangle. Ah, he's already got it. Cliff, you want to take this one?
Yep.
Nice fish. Hooked right on the top of the mouth again. Have to invest in a bigger net next time. It's the bait we're fishing today. There's a striper. I'm gonna go ahead and get him in the water. This bait we're using today is just about a 2 ounce weight. You might go all the way down to 1 ounce if the wind isn't very strong. We like to use a fluke, different colors. Doesn't seem to matter a whole lot some days, but you drop it down to the bait, to the level, to the depth where the fish are at. You basically just completely hold it still as we are. The fish will come up behind it and just pick it up. It's a real subtle bite. Sometimes they'll pull it down good. Sometimes they'll actually take it up so you'll get slack in your line. But you really need to be paying attention because it's a quick bite and then they're gone.
So right here where we're at, these fish have been pretty close to the bottom. So I'm pretty much dropping it to the bottom. When I feel it hit the bottom, then I'm cranking it 2 times to bring it up just above the level of where the fish are, because typically they're going to feed in an upward pattern. The bite is oftentimes very light compared to what you may encounter other times of the years with striper. Striper known to be very aggressive. This is typically not an aggressive bite. A lot of times it feels like no more than just a crappie bite that just taps the line. Once you set the hook, there might be a 15-pound striper on the end of the line, so it really is exciting. So you have to be ready to set the hook at all times. I think I got that one maybe a little more solid. Oh yeah, there he goes. Stripping
Good fish?
Stripping some drag, yep.
I'll get this pull out of your way. Well, you got it.
There he is. Nice striper.
Pretty fish.
Oh, sorry. You got one on?
Yeah.
All right, must be getting into them. You mean photos?
Yeah.
Got it. Where was yours? On the bottom or?
This one's right off the bottom.
Right off the bottom?
About a crank or two right off the bottom. When a big school comes by and you got multiple rods going down at the same time, it's sure a lot of fun. Keeps you busy. Pretty Texoma striper right there.
Oh, they're healthy this time of year too.
They are. They're at their best condition at this time of year.
You know, this dead sticking technique, it's kind of hard to gain confidence. You know, it's the thing that you never do, you know, when you're fishing with at least artificial lures anyway. You just hold the rod, you know, and the boat drifting puts all the action that you need in the bait. It's kind of hard to figure out why these fish are hitting these baits. They seem like they're just sitting there, but it works. And it's one of those things that it just takes a little bit of time to gain a little bit of confidence in it. But right on cue, these fish are aggressive enough, they'll hit it. It's a great way to catch big stripers on Texoma in the wintertime. You don't have to go through the hassle of going out and throwing a cast net and trying to get live bait, live shad, which is always a great option. It's always a reliable way to catch fish. But this technique is just a lot easier on what you have to have in your tackle box and the investment you've got to make in time spent catching bait. You can just get out and catch big fish like that. Like that one. What we've got today is a nice light northern breeze. We've got overcast skies, which is really good conditions for fishing activity throughout the day.
Sometimes catching fish is just being at the right place at the right time or lucking into them. But if anglers can kind of understand a little bit about the seasonal distribution of stripers in the lake, they can increase their chances of encountering them. A lot of times in the cold winter months, the fish have moved up into the upper halves of both of the river arms here in Texoma. So an angler can kind of reduce the size of the lake that they're out trying to find these stripers in by focusing on the upper half of each river arm. From that point, they can go out and try to find some birds working and then slow down and start using the electronics to find them. But especially this time of year, focus more on the upper ends of the lake.
Fish on.
Looks like another nice one.
Yeah, he's heavy. Sometimes the bait falls right out. That was convenient. Nice quality fish.
Fish in the wintertime are in just real good shape. Their metabolic needs are lower. The fish that they're eating, they're making good use of. They're putting on weight for the coming year. So these fish that you catch are going to be in real good shape. The meat's going to be of very good quality. And for those that are coming out to keep some fish to take home and put in their freezer or to have a good fish fry, these are good quality of fish this time of year. To do that with, great tasting fish. Of course, it's also a great opportunity to come out and catch some fish and throw them back, and pretty low stress level to the fish. Putting a fish back in cold waters, not as stressful for them. These fish are generally hooked right in the mouth. So good opportunity to come and catch and release, but also a great opportunity to come and catch some meat for the freezer and for some good fish fries in the coming months.
I think this one's quite as big as some of those other ones we were catching. Sometimes they get bigger as they come to the top. Oh yeah, thank you. Solid fish, hooked right in the top of the mouth again. Boy, that's a pretty fish. The regulations for striped bass on Texoma is it's a 10 fish limit. You can have 10 fish a day. Only 2 of those 10 fish can be over 20 inches. So the fish that we are catching this winter, a lot of them are over 20 inches. Nice fish. So you have to be mindful of the regulations. Apparently he doesn't like that jig head in his face.
You got another good one?
Yep. I got color, as the tuna guys would say. Oh yeah.
Oh, beautiful fish. There's a good one right there.
Yeah.
Nice fish. I'm thinking 11.
You already weighed him, huh?
No.
11 pounds, 6 ounces.
Good fish. Beautiful fish. It's a great time of year to come. Dress appropriately. Pick the days that are good fishing days, where the wind's not blowing too hard, where it's the temperatures within your tolerance range. Dress in layers so you can change as the temperatures change with how much clothes you have on. And if you can brave the cold elements of the Texoma winter, you could really be onto a great trip.
You know, having grown up here in Oklahoma, many times I take for granted just how special Lake Texoma is. It's really considered one of the premier, if not the best, inland striper fishery in the country. Our creel surveys and our license sales every year indicate that we have visitors from nearly all 50 states come to Lake Texoma. One of the reasons for that is because stripers are truly a fish for all seasons. We've showed you how you can target big stripers in the winter time. Now we're going to go inside with Matt Mock as he explains and gives us tips on how to target stripers year-round at Texoma.
Lake Texoma is known as a striper factory, and a lot of the reason for that is because we are awarded with the opportunity to manage a naturally reproducing population, which gives us a lot of flexibility when it comes to managing these, because we don't have to grow these striped bass in a hatchery, limited numbers that we put into the lake. These are river spawning fish species. They'll run up both the Washita and the Red River upstream of Lake Texoma and successfully spawn. And we get really steady reproduction each year. Some years are better than others, but in the big picture, compared to most any other lake across the nation, we have more naturally reproduced striped bass than any other lake. And it allows us to let our anglers have a lot of fish to take home. They have liberal harvest regulations here on Lake Texoma. They can keep 10 fish, where a lot of other fisheries around the country are more like 5 or 3. So we actually encourage some of the harvest of these fish because there are so many stripers in the lake that it's sometimes good to harvest some of these smaller individuals in order to maintain acceptable growth rates. The good thing about striped bass fishing is you don't have to be really technical and have a lot of equipment. The easiest, best bait is always live bait. You're trying to mimic a shad, so fishing with shad is often the best way. If you like to use artificial baits, you can really break it down into several categories. You're really just trying to imitate a shad. And so I've got several baits here that I like to throw on Lake Texoma. Most people really like topwater fishing, and you can sometimes get away with throwing a great big bait like this pencil popper. Again, the important thing is while you're always just imitating a shad, you want to kind of pay attention to what size of bait you're throwing. If they're eating small shad, then you probably want to focus on a smaller bait. If they're eating big gizzard shad, you can get away with throwing a big bait and sometimes be awarded even a larger striper by doing that. Another one of my favorite lures are swim baits. Here's a variation of a sassy shad. You match the size to the size of shad that you think they're chasing. You put the size of weight on to get to the depth that you feel that they are at, and that's an easy way to fish. In the summertime, when the shad have gotten to about 2 inches long, a real effective bait is using a jigging spoon or a slab, such as this one right here. This dropped down to the depth that the fish are at, jigged real erratically, reeled as fast as you can, and it's often met with just explosive strikes and a lot of fun. December is one of my favorite months to fish, and this is about the best bait I have found to fish, is a swim bait, such as a sassy shad. In the wintertime, January, February, water's extremely cold. Dead sticking is a popular technique where you drop a bait down right in front of the nose of the fish and you just hold it still and they'll come pick it up. Real subtle bite, great time of year to catch a real big fish. But change your tactics. If it's cold, fish slow. If it's warm and fish are real active, you can fish as fast as you can reel almost and be met with success. Lastly, fly fishing. Again, you're imitating shad. Topwater poppers or clouser minnows such as this are about all you need, fished at the depth that the fish tend to be located at. That's about all you need to catch stripers on Texoma.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. If you've never been wintertime striper fishing at Lake Texoma, we'd encourage you to give it a try. For all of us at your wildlife department, I'm Todd Craighead. We'll see you right here next time on Outdoor Oklahoma.